Boko Haram suka same mu, sai suka ɗibe mu sun samu auren dole. Abin da ya faru a jeji.
Hello, what's up YouTube? Welcome to an amazing video, and today we're going to be talking about how to conduct interviews. Interviews are one part of filmmaking that is almost unavoidable to every filmmaker, especially when you're filming documentaries. I've been privileged and fortunate to direct a lot of documentaries in my career, and there are a few tips I've actually picked up on the way that helped me actually conduct better interviews. Kind of felt to share that with you, my YouTube audience, because you guys are the best. The first thing I'll say is do a lot of research about the topic you're going to be interviewing your subject about. You don't want to go on set and be looking very uninformed about the subject matter that you're talking about. You have to build the confidence in your subject so that you can feel confident enough to share as much information with you. The next thing I'm going to talk about is having pre-conversations with your subject even before the interview day. I think that's one mistake that most directors or most people filming documentaries might do. You just expect to get there on the particular day, meet your subject on that same day, and just familiarize with your subject just like that. I think people tend to share more information with people they're a little bit familiar with. You don't want your subject to feel like you're just meeting them for the first time, and you don't want to feel like a stranger to them. At least, even if you can have physical conversations before the interview day, try to have maybe phone conversations, try to have maybe video calls, just so they can feel a little bit comfortable with you and you don't feel like a stranger on the day of the interview. One other step that have really helped me, I kind of learned this subconsciously. Try to not let the subject know when your interview has started. You can brief your filming crew ahead of time, have them know cues of when to record. For example, when you get on set on the particular day, you can just have your subject sit down on the chair. Do not tell them, oh, we are going to start interviewing now. Just start asking them questions and make it feel like you are conversing with them. Just start a conversation, like a normal conversation. Through those conversations, you can start throwing in the actual questions you're asking for the interview. But your film crew has to be very much alert to know when the interview has actually really started, and they start recording without making a scene. The truth is that once there's a camera in front of their face and it will make everything too formalized, they just start overthinking things and their natural emotion is going to be really lost at that point. Always tell the subject to put your question in context of their answer. For example, when you say, how did you get into Lagos? So they'd be like, I got into Lagos through. Never ever make mistake of letting them answer the question like, in 2010 I started something. Let them put the question into the context of the answers, so that way your voice as the interviewer do not necessarily have to be in the interview or in the documentary.
People call me an artist, but it doesn't really get to my head like I'm an artist. But when I won the Samsung challenge, I actually felt like someone. I actually felt important.
Personally, that's one of the methods I like my documentary to always flow. I don't like to put my voice. I want the audience to be focused on the subject only. Once they started answering your questions, you need to allow them speak. Stop cutting your subjects abruptly in between the interview. Even though probably they said something wrongly, I feel you should allow them flow. Let them speak. Let them just express themselves the way they can express themselves. I know there's sometimes we might want to get some facts correctly or some pronunciations correctly, but I don't feel it's good to keep interrupting your subject while they're trying to speak. You can correct when they're done speaking by doing another take. The more takes you have, the better for you in post-production. Maintain eye contact with your subject. I see this happening a lot with a lot of directors or camera operators. When you allow them handle an interview, they ask a question and then they're looking at their phone while the person is answering a question. That is totally wrong. I feel it's disrespectful of the subject's time. It doesn't show that you actually care about whatever this subject is saying at a particular time. It feels selfish, like, oh, you just want to get your interview and go, and ultimately you won't get the best performance or best answers from the subject. Show emotions from your face. they will just feel like you're actually listening to them and they will share more. I think the best way to ask a subject question is to make it feel like a conversation. So when they say something, you can coin the next question from what they said. If you're not listening at that point, you probably missed the opportunity to take advantage of their answers to create new questions for them and get better responses. Before you go on set, always try as much as possible to memorize your questions. You don't want to be on the interview and then before you ask your next question, you're flipping through your notes or flipping through your phone to ask your next question. I feel it just feels very, very unprofessional, and there might be a momentum you've built with your subject leading to that point, and then when you break that momentum by searching for the next question, the subject just lose vibes and lose character before they answer your next question. So you want to keep that momentum going. Once you build the momentum, keep it going by saying your next question without necessarily have to break the flow. If you really want the greatest interviews, you want to get the best interviews, you really need to memorize your questions and know your questions sequentially. Make your questions sound like a conversation. You don't want to make it like a job interview, like an interrogation per se. So if you want to ask, like, probably when did you start noticing that you are now popular, you can say it in such a way like, oh, now that you're more popular, can you recall the moment where you felt like, oh, people now know me a lot and I can't step out of my house just randomly? That feels more like a conversation, like an human connection with your subject, than saying, when did you notice you started getting popular? Now compare both of them. Which one will you be more liable to answer more? So even if you wrote them out like very, very strict and very, very direct, when you're asking your subject these questions, make it sound like a conversation. Bring in the human factor into those questions, and they will feel very, very comfortable to share their best experiences with you. Most times we are always too focused on getting facts right and too very, very rigid with how we ask our questions. One other thing we should always focus on also is the emotion behind their responses or the emotion behind the facts. For example, you should ask your subject what they were feeling at a particular moment. Like, for example, you're interviewing someone about a scholarship opportunity. You stop asking, when did you get the scholarship? Or what happened when you got the scholarship? You can ask them, how did you feel when you got this scholarship? Ask them about an emotion attached to that question, as opposed to just asking them the question directly. Emotions actually sell films. People want to feel something, and if you can get your subject to express that emotion, your audience watching that documentary will also connect to that emotion and also feel that emotion through the response of your subject. The final thing I'm going to talk about is gear check. Gear check and gear test. There's nothing more annoying than your battery dying in the middle of an interview, or nothing more annoying than the sound not connecting properly. It's just going to throw your subject off. You don't want that to ever happen. Before you go for the interview, before you go on set, cross-check all your gear, your mic, your lenses, your tripod, your camera, your lights. Make sure everything is working perfectly. And even before the subjects come on set, you should do a proper test and setup of everything before the subjects come on set, so that way you can have a smooth running interview from beginning to end without any distractions. Please like and subscribe to this channel. You already know that already. And without wasting so much of your time, I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.